What is happening, people? Welcome back to the Scarfey Talks Premier League podcast. In this episode, then, we'll be previewing game week 17 in the Premier League. We'll also, before that, be reviewing the Carabao Cup games in the quarterfinals. Still one to come between Arsenal and Crystal Palace. But I'm joined by three fantastic guests tonight from fans of three different clubs. Firstly, I want to welcome on Luca, who supports Arsenal. Luca,
Big up,
how you doing?
man. Big up. How you been, man?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah? You doing well?
Yeah,
Good
I'm
stuff.
keeping well. Yeah. I'm good.
Lovely. So thank you very much for your time. And Dan, who's a Nottingham Forest fan for tonight. Dan, how you doing?
Evening, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. You?
I'm very well, thank you. 2 wins on the bounce. I'm quite happy.
Yeah? Good
Even
stuff.
at Spurs' expense. Yeah, I mean, good win in Europe, then obviously a good win down here. It's looking forward to the next round of games.
Absolutely, should be good. Dan, thank you very much. And West Ham fan, I mean, we're speaking before looks like that I've cursed him and his team because they haven't won since being on my podcast. As a Spurs fan, I do want that to continue, but he's a great guy. He deserves his club to do well. Lewis, thank you so much for coming on. Of course, West Ham fans have said there. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I wish I was a bit like Dan and I could talk about all the good results we've had and wins on the bounce, but sadly I've not been able to. So
No. Been let down.
Let down.
Still think you've got the right manager, though, to, in your sake, keep you up.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. So, thank you. If you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. It is only where it is available, but you can listen live, of course, or listen after. If you're listening live, get involved. Let us know what club you support, how you feel right now as well as a fan of your club. Are you happy? Are you negative? Do let us know. Thank you very, very much. Let's start with the Carabao Cup review then so far, because we've had 3 games because of the quarterfinal and 1 more to come next week. Arsenal and Palace just was postponed in the end. And the first one was Cardiff and Chelsea. I mean, Lewis, I'll come to you first. This is a case of Chelsea. I mean, the game not going perfectly for them, but getting the job done in the end. But it did take them a while.
Yeah, it took them a while, and I think most Chelsea fans, especially some people I've spoken to, won't exactly be over the moon with the performance. They had a few little blips that some people might have not expected against Cardiff. Cardiff have actually got a really good run against top 6 Premier League teams in cup side competitions, which is a very interesting thing to see. But from a Chelsea perspective, a team who, is trying to fight for top 4 and, not challenge for the title, but be in and around the area of it, to be drawing at Cardiff by the 82nd minute is a slight concern, I think, on their part. Got the win in the end, but it was certainly quite scrappy.
It was. No, thank you. I do appreciate that. The other one was Man City and Brentford, which is a 2-0 City win. Luca, what did you make of this one?
I think for me, look, Manchester City fully deserved to win the game against Brentford. I think for me, of course, it was a bit of a mixture team. I was very surprised Brentford didn't play the ex-Liverpool goalkeeper because Cameron as well, Kelleher, because he's an experienced goalkeeper. And I remember we played in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup in 2022 and we lost. And I just felt like, of course, that was pretty much, you need that kind of experienced keeper who knows how to save penalties and all that stuff. But I really thought Manchester City, I watched the highlights. I didn't watch the whole game, but I watched the highlights. And Man City fully deserve to win. And Man City, of course, are doing what Man City do, even if they're not playing at the Man City of old. But however, they're still getting wins and grinding out results. For me, Brentford, they were never going to win this game. City won it very comfortably. There wasn't many goals. City put their foot off the gas a little bit. And I think Man City deserved to win the game. And Phil Foden, for me, obviously come on, of course. And this guy's obviously getting the form what he was 2 seasons ago when City won the league title on the final day. And Man City deserve to win the game. They're in the semi-final now against Newcastle. And Arsenal, of course, have got Crystal Palace, but the winner of that will face Chelsea in the London derby. So it could be an Arsenal, Man City or Newcastle final. So we're guaranteed a big team is going to win that competition.
100%. Should be good. And it's got a nice route as well, as you explained there to the final. Luca, thank you. Dan, Newcastle beat Fulham 2-1, but it took them a long time to get the job done. It's a bit like, wasn't it, the Premier League fixture when Newcastle left it late and also won that game 2-1 between these two sides in the league just recently. So, what did you make of this one? Newcastle deserving winners in the end?
I think there was, but it's always going to be a bit of a tough game for Newcastle against Fulham, because Fulham under Martin Silva, they are quite a good team and they are picking up results quite well recently. And we all know Newcastle got a great team, well, started 11 at least, and they've took the time to get going, but they eventually got the job done. I was sort of hoping that it went to penalties just because we got Fulham on Monday, so tied legs. But I think overall, Newcastle, they just got at home, they needed to win and win somehow. But yeah, they got a nice little taste game against Man City and in the semi-final, and all the games that they play against each other, they are really, really good for goals. So it would make it a really, really good semi-final.
100%. Thank you. Before we get on to this weekend's Premier League games, Luca, you mentioned there Arsenal and Palace, which you see next week, 23rd of December, the rescheduled quarter-final. How do you feel about that one? We know that Palace are a good and competitive side.
I think for me, it's going to be a very, very difficult game. Don't get me wrong, because Crystal Palace are like no mugs, of course. It's whether they want to take it very, very seriously, because they won the FA Cup last season, and then of course they won the Charity Shield and all that stuff. And look, it is an opportunity to get to Wembley. Palace, of course, know Wembley very well. We played this fixture last season. Gabriel Jesus scored a hat-trick. Of course, it's an opportunity for Arsenal to have Gabriel Jesus back. Of course, the news, which broke today, which I'm not surprised, is Kai Havertz has now suffered a setback. He was obviously meant to be scheduled to come back for the Villa game at the end of the month. But however, of course, at the Emirates, Havertz is not meant to be back until January. So it's another month, few weeks away. So, of course, he could be back maybe for the FA Cup game against Portsmouth at Fratton Park on the 11th of January. So, obviously, that's an opportunity for him. It's not the end of the world if he's not going to be back until then, because he could be back within about 3 weeks' time. But I just feel like, for me, it's just about this game. It's an opportunity for a cup competition, because people thought that we were title favourites to go on and win the league. And now everyone, like these, even you have a look at the performance against Wolves, we were very lucky to win that game. That was one of the worst performances of the season, coming up against a team like Wolves. And Rob Edwards, obviously, playing down, tried to break down Wolves' defence, of course, playing the low block. And that's where it was very difficult to obviously grind the win. And two of their players scored an own goal. And I thought that performance was shocking. But I'm confident we'll be in the semi-final against Chelsea. I think we'll get to the final. I'm not sure if we will win it. But however, I do think we will. Look, if we get to the semi-final, I don't want to be too overconfident, because obviously I expect us to beat Crystal Palace at home. Gabriel Jesus will get a runabout. Obviously, we'll give a few opportunities to a few players who obviously need to get minutes. Martinelli needs to get minutes. So I think, of course, we will have enough squad depth to beat Crystal Palace.
Okay, Luca, thank you. Appreciate your honesty in that and your little bit of analysis there. Thank you. Let's go on then to the Game Week 17 preview. So this weekend, and we start with the first game then, which is a good way, I think, to start the weekend. There was big games last week. There's big games this week. Start with Newcastle and Chelsea. Lewis, I'll come back round to you if you don't mind. How do you see this game going? Who's the favourite?
Well, obviously, these both pair got into the Carabao Cup semi-finals, as we just spoke about it. Newcastle left it late. Chelsea with not so great of a performance. And they've both sort of had their struggles in the Premier League as well in recent times. Chelsea have kept the most clean sheets this season, but I don't think that will continue on at St. James's. It is one of those where it almost seems like a game for Newcastle to win, to bounce back up on their form, try and take these victories that they've been and these points they've been getting over, and make up for that Sunderland loss. I think the players, the first thing that they'll be hoping to do is to turn back to the Premier League at St. James's, prove to the fans, why they can still fight. And I think that fight that they've got in them, the spirit, will be more than what Chelsea can provide on the pitch. Chelsea could still obviously upturn them and going off form, they probably are the ones that are likely to win the game. But I think given the circumstances, I would put Newcastle as a favourite.
Good stuff. I think it'd be fair as well at St James's Park. Dan, do you feel the same? It's hard to bet against Newcastle at St James's Park. I mean, I think that game against Fulham proved that you just count them in until the end.
Definitely, like I said about the Fulham game, like Newcastle are at home, and even though they lost against Sunderland like they did, they got enough quality, and they probably got the best midfield three in the one of the best midfield three, bar Arsenal in the Premier League in terms of like the midfield threes. And yeah, Chelsea, they're very hot and cold because some games they're absolutely class, and they got one of the best defenses in terms of clean sheets this season. But they can go from being like the best to like being like Wolves, and I don't want to affiliate too much in Wolves, but I think Newcastle gonna have that bit of fight in them to like bounce back, especially against Chelsea, and especially just nicking that win on Wednesday. I think if they didn't play Wednesday, there would have been a lot of pressure on them. But now they got that win and got through it, Saturday's game should be easy for them to like be like they got that confident booster to really bounce back.
Okay, Dan, thank you. I do appreciate that. Luca, I come to you on this game. I mean, do you think that both clubs, that 3 points is huge? We've seen Newcastle as a damaging result against Sunderland. They put it right since, and for Chelsea as well, similar. Maresca said it's the worst 48 hours I've had at the club. Then they go and win the game after, and he said, "Look, the problem is kind of still there. I've said what I wanted to say." So you just feel for both managers that. Well, tell you what, change the question, Luca. Do you think for both managers' sake they can't lose? I don't get me wrong. It's not a case of I don't think either job's not like on the line drastically, but both managers could do with the result, couldn't they?
I think for me, look, 100% agree with you because both teams kind of like need the result. They've got to battle for top four, yeah. Newcastle, of course, are back in the Champions League again. Of course, Chelsea are in the Champions League as well. I believe it's Newcastle's second time in the Champions League. And look, Chelsea don't have a very good record at St James's Park. And I think this winner could go either way because Chelsea, for me, look, they're never in the title race. I know they're 5 points behind or 6 points behind second or something like that. But however, I just feel like with Chelsea, look, they're 8 points behind us. Look, they were never in the title race because Chelsea have their defences obviously can be a little bit wobble, a bit suspect. Don't get me wrong, Chelsea have massively improved under Maresca. I know, of course, that they're the Club World Cup champions. I get that. Obviously, it was a glorified friendly cup. But however, look, I think for me, right, I think Newcastle are going to win this game. I know Newcastle haven't been the Newcastle before, but I just feel like it's at St James's Park. It's a tough place to go to. Don't get me wrong. If Chelsea on their day can obviously, of course, turn up and beat anyone. It's, what I'm saying? They've massively improved. They're going to get top four, right? They might win a cup this season. Let's see. But I think Newcastle are going to win this game. I really do, Harry, because I just feel like Newcastle is at St James's Park. It's a tough place to go to. Both teams are going to need this win more. It's very hard to call in this game. It's a 12:30 kickoff. Chelsea don't have a good record. I'm backing Newcastle to win this game. My score prediction, I'm going 2-1 Newcastle.
Oof, jumping on there with score predictions. Love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Going 2-1 Newcastle. That was my next task. You got the ball rolling, Luca. That's what we like. Thank you very much. Got the ball rolling. Lewis, could I get your score prediction, please, and scorers?
I will go with 2-0 Newcastle.
Great stuff. Thank you. Dan?
3-1 Newcastle. I think they will have enough just to beat them. I think Chelsea will score, but I think Newcastle will just have enough to beat them quite easily.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate that. Let's move on then to our next Premier League game. It's Bournemouth and Burnley. This should be interesting because, of course, Bournemouth, crazy game involved in last time against United, and Burnley need every single point they can get at the moment, which they can't get, let's be honest with you, at the moment at all. Dan, I'll kick it off with you to start with on this one. How do you view this game going? Keep your score prediction for just a minute, but did you back Bournemouth surely at home?
Yeah, shadow that, you got to back Bournemouth Burnley, they're one of the teams I think they're going to go down just because of their squad and how they're not really invested so well into that squad. Not like Sunderland have. I think Bournemouth, they could go one or two ways to it there. They could carry on with this goal scoring spree and conceding spree like they did for Monday, or they could quite easily lose. It's one of them ones, but Bournemouth, right side of that, they got quality in the squad to beat. They should beat Burnley comfortably with what they got and with it being down South Coast.
Should do, but as you said, you just never know. For Burnley, this is the type of game where they can capitalise on Bournemouth's poor form. I know again, Bournemouth showed real fight, and I think they showed real character to come back against United. Several times. That's better result probably for them than United in the end, which sounds crazy because Bournemouth should have been the team that won it towards the end. 2 chances, and Le Mans keeping them in that one. Lewis, this game, do you feel the same? Bournemouth at home, Vitality Stadium, and Burnley's form, you have to back Ariola's side to work their way up the table after this game?
I think so, but I do also look at the bigger picture. The fact both teams haven't won since the 26th of October, which is 7 games. So they're both winless in 7. And the other thing is people talk about Burnley being a team destined to go down. People almost think I'm a Burnley fan with how much I defend them, but I really don't think they've been. Obviously, they've been poor, right? They've lost 7 games in a row. No team who loses 7 games in a row isn't poor. But if we look at the individual performances of each one, we look at the Fulham game, they lost 3-2, they lost by a goal. Against Newcastle, they were very unfortunate. Palace was another close one. And, if you look at these games, if you just add in one more goal in there, you throw in that goal that they could have had in these games, they could be out the relegation zone. I would still back Bournemouth in winning, but due to form and the quality of the squad and it being at home, and I think Bournemouth have been on more of an improvement than Burnley have. But I don't think this Burnley side is as bad as people make it out to be.
Agree with you. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I really do. I think they're competitive. I don't think they're... What it is, I think, Lewis, as well, I mean, tell me if you disagree, but I think the competition's there, isn't it, this year? There's a lot more than we saw last year, 3 teams going straight back down. And that's the thing. If Burnley were made to look bad, we'd go, yeah, but they're 19th. But this league's a lot stronger than it was last year. I think Scott Parker's learned a lot of lessons. I think this Burnley side have learned a lot of lessons. A lot of people I've heard say as well that, Burnley, defensively. Who realistically thought they were going to, have the same defensive success in the Championship and the Premier League? I mean, nobody, not even Burnley fans thought that, they wouldn't. Let's be totally honest with you. I think you hit the nail on the head there, and there's a Burnley fan that agrees with you, Lewis, as well. So big up. He said, Fantasy, a Simulation League says this guy's Burnley take is spot on. Totally agree. I 100% think of right with that one. But let's go through the panel and get score predictions for this one. Luca, I'll kick it off with
Bournemouth
you.
versus Burnley, I've got to go for a Bournemouth win. I don't know where a win's going to come for Burnley. Look, Bournemouth were absolutely brilliant against Manchester United, not going to lie. Incredible game on Monday night, 4-4. And look, I think for me, Bournemouth, Semenyo has obviously been on the radar. Loads of clubs have been linked with him. Arsenal, Tottenham, Man City, Manchester United, Liverpool. It's hard to choose where he'll go. I think it's very important for Burnley to somehow try and get a point. They're not going to stay up. I really don't know where they're going to get a win. Scott Parker, for me, he can't cut it in the Premier League. He's never had cut it in the Premier League. And look, he's a Championship EFL manager, we know that, but of course I really think Bournemouth are going to win this 2-0. I really don't see where Burnley are going to score. I really don't, and it is a shame with clubs like that are going to I don't want to be judgmental or be, obviously it's good to be in the Premier League, don't get me wrong, because obviously if you win, you're in the Premier League and you compete with the big boys, but they're a bit like Norwich. I don't want to take it out of the way because obviously there's a Birdie fan in the chat, but I just feel like, why be in the Premier League, right? And I don't want to take it away from any Burnley fans because obviously I'm not trying to offend any Burnley fans, but I just feel like, why be in the Premier League if you know that you're going to get relegated? Be in the Premier League when you're ready. I don't see where they are. Look, if it was at Burnley's ground, maybe they can get a point or even a win. But Bournemouth's a very, very tough place to go to. We've got Bournemouth coming up in a few weeks' time in January, and if we're competing for a title with Man City and Aston Villa, obviously we've got to go to these sort of grounds and win. But I think Bournemouth are going to win 2-0. That's my prediction. So.
You think Burnley will go down a lot by the sound of it, the way you're speaking as well?
I think Burnley are done already. I really do. I don't think they're not surviving. I'd be very surprised. Their best manager, of course, was Sean Dyche, but of course, Sean Dyche is not there anymore. He's at Nottingham Forest, and I just feel like I don't think they're not. Scott Parker can't keep a team. Like he's a promotion manager. He's an EFL manager. Hasn't got Premiership quality.
I agree, but that can change, can't it? Through coaching and through learning. I think they look more competitive than in the past. I don't think it's just because of what they've done in the window. I think they'll fight it. I think they go down. I agree. I think they'll fight it a little bit more than they are now.
Possibly. It's a possibility. I 100% agree with you, Harry. There is a possibility that Burnley can show that, but clubs like that don't really have enough money and funds to compete in the Premier League. That's the problem, because it is a shame with teams like Burnley in that, because look, I would love Burnley to stay up. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, it's a tough place to go to. We went there and we won 2-0, and we didn't make it hard for ourselves. And obviously, thanks to Declan Rice assisting to get Gyökeres a goal. But I just feel like they haven't got enough depth. But I just want to see a bit more. I want to see a bit of ruthless from Burnley. And would they go into the January transfer window? Would they go and get some quality players from the EFL? Look, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Dele Alli, these free agents, okay, they might pass their best, but they're trying to obviously get their fitness. Maybe go to someone like a Burnley, show that physical experience to try and get out of the relegation.
Okay, no, you said some good points. You went 2-0 Bournemouth in the end, didn't you?
Yeah, 2-0 Bournemouth.
Good stuff, thank you. Lewis, can I get your score prediction, my friend?
I'm in two minds here. I'm gonna back my point I was making, and I think if Burnley are to lose, I would almost guarantee it by being one goal, given their past. But I will go for I'm going to go for 1-1. I think Burnley get a point here.
Thank you very much, Dan.
I'm in two minds myself because of to the fact of Bournemouth, both teams not won since, and like Aspen said. But then I think Bournemouth scored loads of goals on Monday, and I think it's going to be one of the Lord Mayor shows where I think I can build Bournemouth winning 1-0. I think they'll just they'll win, but I don't think it should be a goal in it.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you very much. Next game then, Brighton and Sunderland. I mean, this is, again, don't think it's one of the dull ones, to put it that way. Luca, I'll come back around to start with you. How do you see this game going? Of course, Sunderland in very good form, but, Brighton are too, but the last couple of results haven't been the way the Seagulls have wanted.
Very difficult game to call, because obviously I feel like Sunderland have had a good start to the season, and obviously Brighton have been really good as well. But I just feel like Sunderland, for me, the last few results, they've not really... Have they actually been found out? I don't know. Don't get me wrong. Like, recently, they were very consistent, but now they've been a little bit inconsistent. Like, they're not winning every single game. And look, people expected, and I expected Sunderland to go down at the start of the season. I never really thought they'd be good enough. And obviously, they brought the experience of like Granit Xhaka and all that in the Premier League, of course. Obviously, Xhaka from Arsenal, but by Leverkusen. But I just feel like, for me, with Brighton versus Sunderland, this game can go either way, because Brighton would need a response. They weren't great against Liverpool at Anfield. Liverpool actually got a win and got 2 wins on the bounce for the first time at the start of the season. But I don't know. It depends what Brighton... I could see this game being a Brighton win. I think maybe like a 1-0 Brighton. I really don't see many goals in this. Don't get me wrong. It's either got a 1-0 or it's got a 1-1 draw in it. It's really hard game to call, because when you have both teams on very good, spectacular form with Brighton and Sunderland, I'm going to back Brighton. I'm going to back the Seagulls this season, and I'm going to go for a 1-0 Brighton win. And I think Danny Welbeck's going to score. against his own club. So
could go on with Brian. Thank you, Lewis. Can I get your thoughts on score predictions, please?
I think Luca's pretty much got it bang on there. As soon as I saw this game on the schedules this weekend, it screamed to me a draw. It's two teams that have been on very good form, both had a few blips here and there, some moments of where you'd think, they're not as good as people say, and then they pull something out and they get a result. I think this will be 1-1. I see this being a 1-1 game, both teams walking away from a point and just heading into the next one. Quite 50-50, I say. So 1-1.
Okay, thank you very much. Dan, what were you saying?
You know what? The guys absolutely nailed it on the head for me with everything. I think I can see it being a 1-1 draw just for the proof that what the guys have said. Like, it could quite easily be a 1-0 someone, or both teams would like score and get a point and just continue on to the next game, quite happy that they're not lost the game.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your. I agree with all of you. Although I don't often give my opinion, but I think you're all spot on with that. Man City and West Ham. Then I mean, one person I'm going to go to first. Wonder who. Lewis, take us away. I mean, you made the joke beforehand that your kind of losing record here on the podcast and coming on may continue. Any hope for West Ham in this game?
I think we should move on to match week 18. That's what I think we should do. I'm almost lost for words. I mean, I can sit here and I can try and dig out some positives from the Villa game and say, we did this well and we did that well.
Well.
We did start well. In fact, we had our best ever start. And it didn't translate to a result. And the truth is, the last time we drew against City was in 2022, and the last time we beat City was in 2014. So we don't have a good time against City. Haaland loves to score against us. He scored his first Premier League goals against us. And the only reason he didn't score a hat-trick on his debut was because he was brought off. And you know what? It's a few seasons later, and I still think he'll do the same thing. Defensively, we are a bit of a shambles. We've got no wing-backs for this game. We have lost Wan-Bissaka and we've lost Diouf due to AFCON. So we'll have to play Walker-Peters and Scholes. Scholes is returning back from injury. I'm not sure if he's fully fit. Walker-Peters is a good, nice, like replacement. He'll fit in well, but our two centre-backs they've not been working hand in hand, and we leak goals and we leak that communication, and against a team like City, that's not going to end well. I have said all of this, and I will predict us to draw the game because I don't have the heart for me to predict us to lose.
No,
but as you can tell from what I've just said, I know what I'm expecting the result to be. But I'm just going to throw something like a 1-1 out there. A miraculous Bowen goal and a defensive masterclass is a dream. But I fully expect the rest of this panel to, if anything is under 3 goals, it's quite generous. So I'll leave it as that on my positive yet negative note.
Okay, good stuff. If I'm honest with you, again, like I said earlier, don't give an opinion a lot, but I think that it's going to be really tough for West Ham. And, I've forgotten that you're right. You're probably having neither fullback. I mean, it's just not an ideal situation. But part of me thinks that's when you're more likely to get a result, when you're not expecting it. And so many things stacked against you, with players unavailable, your record, and just being the team that you face ultimately. I just think Nuno's the type of manager to end that record. He's done that a lot of Forest. I mean, Dan will tell you it was all about ending bad records. Forest wouldn't do this, wouldn't do that, and he's very good. And wherever he's gone, Nuno, he ends records. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way, like his time at Tottenham. But he's known for breaking records. So hopefully not in terms of conceding the most goals or letting Haaland score the most goals in a match for your sake. I hope that isn't the case. Yeah, fingers crossed. But thank you for that. Luca, how do you see this game going? I mean, you always, express your, not support of Man City is one way of putting it, but you always express how good of a side they are. Do you back them in this one?
I think Man City going to win about 4-0, I reckon. I'm sorry, West Ham fans who are listening to this. How much I love West Ham.
That's how it is. I love it.
Luca's a masterclass, yeah.
It is how it is.
But no, look, I don't expect West Ham to get anything in this game. Look, West Ham are going to stay up this season. They're not going to get relegated. Their squad's too good to go down.
Yeah.
But I just feel like City are going to win this at home. I can see Haaland. If you play Fantasy Dream Team, Premier League, you expect Haaland to score a couple of goals against West Ham, even maybe a hat-trick. But I doubt he'll get a hat-trick, but you never know. But Doku, of course, is out until the end of the year, so probably ain't going to be back until the beginning of January after the new year. But I think City, for me, have actually, look, people talk about Man City and not the Man City of old, but you don't have to win a league title if you're not the team what you were before. Of course, you want to win the league, but of course, you could win the league and not actually be the team what you were before, winning 10, 15 games. And this is the thing with Man City. People are now trying to see, like, okay, City keep winning and winning and winning, but it's about how we respond, because we're going to go into this game. Of course, obviously, we'll come to our game a little bit later on, but we're going to go to our game with Everton away. And it's going to feel weird that Arsenal are more used to being top, and then Man City are going to be top. And then people are going to look at that and think, you know what, Arsenal are going to lose to Everton, right? They're actually going to lose to Everton, yeah? And City could be top of the league by Saturday night. People are now going to start saying, everyone's going to start switching and flip-flopping and be like, okay, Man City are going to win the league now. They're going to do what they did. Might not be the Man City of old, but they will go into the January transfer window and they'll probably look for a Rodri replacement, because Rodri is probably going to be out for a little bit longer. And Man City don't really need Rodri. They're winning without Rodri. And when City had Rodri out injured, people were questioning whether, can Man City cope without Rodri? Can Man City do what they need to do? And they're performing without Rodri. They might not be the Man City where they go win tons of games, but Man City last season were what Liverpool were this season, but not as worse what Liverpool were in a few games back. But Man City will need to go in the January transfer window and get a couple of additions, maybe. They haven't really got a proper right back, right? I don't rate that Kuzmanov for Man City. I don't think he's not all that. Nico O'Reilly, quality left back. I think he's good for Man City. They haven't got a Kyle Walker replacement. I think that maybe they're going to need a Rodri replacement, but they've got Nico Gonzalez. Didn't really know who he was when Man City signed him, but he's come on very good. Rangers is obviously a top player who played in Serie A for AC Milan. I'm sure AC Milan fans are missing him because after Milan's defeat against Napoli tonight. But look, I think City are going to win. They are the title. I think, as an Arsenal fan, obviously, like, you want to back your team to win the league. You should be saying that, we're going to win the league. I get that. I just feel like I think Man City are going to win the league this season. I really do. I really hope I'm proven wrong. But of course, obviously, City are just City. They always find a way to do it. Phil Foden's loving life at the moment, but I'm backing Man City to win 4-0 in this game. Sorry, West Ham fans.
Fair.
Yeah, fair enough. Come back to you, Lewis, in a minute. I've got actually a question for you, but before that, Dan, what are your thoughts and score prediction?
You know what? It'd be one of them ones. And Nuno being Nuno, you probably got something up the sleeve. Even though that West Ham haven't got probably first choice fullbacks, but Nuno's done it before. He done it against Liverpool last season, done it against Man City last season. I mean, I can't just roll off a load of things like. But I think it's not clicked for him yet at West Ham. And I'll say that. And about Nuno, it took him to last season to really get us to where he wants it. But I think, like, Luca nailed it on the head for me about Man City. Like, I think they just know how to win games at the minute. And yeah, they're not the City of old, but they've got enough in them to see them through. But like it has been said, like, these sort of games, you could quite easily see West Ham putting up a really good fight and that. So I'm going to go 2-1 City just for fact. I think City, yeah, they will win, but I don't think they will win as comfortably for some reason. I think Nuno will set them up right just to defend and hit one on the break, then be hard to break down and that. So
Okay, Dan, thank you very much. Lewis, the question I've got for you, we all know what you want to happen and not go down, but hand on heart, being honest with you right now, being honest with me, I should say, do you think West Ham will be relegated or not? If you've been, vocal in your support of Nuno, do you think he will actually keep you up?
I would say that we will have a firm answer come the end of January. The truth is we don't have
It's like to be that said.
we don't have the squad depth. We don't have we have ability and we have players that Nuno can utilize, but he needs more. When you're in a game and you're drawing, maybe you're in a winning position, and you dig deep, and you look at your bench for options, and you've got no one there. It's what has cost us. I mean, if you look at against Aston Villa, the lack of options has cost us there. Against Brighton, we were incredibly unlucky. Against Bournemouth, we blew a lead. Against Man United, some said we could have won. And if you just add, 1 point here, 2 points there, and you combine them about some of the results we simply should have had, we'd be on the, maybe around where Fulham are, Brentford, around the 20-point mark, looming above the relegation zone, a few points above it, and people aren't too worried. But the fact is I hear loads of people saying we are too good to go down. I personally cannot believe that phrase, because it's as simple as the fact that we are not picking up points and other teams around us are picking up points. It's games like, if you look at Leeds, no one expected Leeds to beat Chelsea, but they did. No one expected Leeds to get a draw against Liverpool, but they did. Right? They weren't viewing these games as write-offs. We feel the need to view these games as write-offs. When we got to Villa, when we played Villa before the game, everyone said that's a write-off. City, that's a write-off. Those games, people didn't expect us to win. We look at the back end after this City game. We've got Fulham, Brighton, Wolves, Forest, Spurs, and then Spurs. If you look at that bracket of fixtures, if we don't pick up a handful of wins in that, I think it'll be goodbye for us, because we've got serious lack of squad depth. We've got one striker, and going off the current rumours at the moment, our transfer business isn't looking very hopeful.
Lewis, thank you. Appreciate your honesty as always, and really well put across there as always. Never in doubt with you, of course. But thank you. That is the City and West Ham game then. So we'll move on to the next one, which is Wolves and Brentford. Can Wolves get their first win of the season? My club Tottenham decided to give them 50% in the points total so far, and we're 18th of December at the time of recording. That just frustrates me beyond hell, especially when you have one of our own players in Paulini take his top off and go absolutely mad, and we get just a draw, because Tottenham deserve to lose that game, if I'm honest with you. Dan, I'll come to you. How do you see this game going? Is there any chance Wolves can get a positive result of some kind?
I have changed place. I would even say that to everyone right now. It's just started to rain outside, and everyone seemed to left my house now. So I sort of took the front room. But going back to football and all that, I think Wolves got to win a game somehow. I will say this because I want them to beat Derby's Premier League record, that just because of the rivalry between us and Derby. But I think they got to come a stage where they got to start picking up points sometime soon. And yeah, Rob Edwards been there a while now, and when we played them, they was very low in confidence, and they got to get to a stage now where he has to start to install that belief and that way of playing and just tighten things up at the back, because it's not helped them that they lost so many of the best players over the last 2, 3, 4 seasons. But I think, can I see them beating Brentford on Saturday? I think they've probably been a team that surprised me quite a lot this season, especially after we beating them first game. I think they pulled up some really good results. But I don't really rule Wolves out, and I think if Wolves play to the best, I think I can say it's been a draw, but I think I don't know. I'm going to say 1-1 draw because I think Wolves going to have to start winning or picking up points. And I think being at home could quite easily be a starting point. So I'm going to give them 1-1 draw.
Okay, lovely stuff. Thank you. Appreciate that 1-1 draw. I mean, for Wolves, that's got to be a positive at this point. Lewis, what do you reckon? Your thoughts and score prediction, please.
You know what? I've already made my prediction of West Ham getting a draw, and I said Burnley to get a draw, and I'm gonna go for the unthinkable, and I'm gonna go for a Wolves win. I think that Wolves might get their first win of the season. They've obviously beaten two teams already, West Ham and Everton. They just weren't in the Premier League.
Yes.
But I think something tells me that Wolves might win this game, and it's because Brentford have started to be found out. Their tactics are very basic, which isn't bad at all. Simple football can be still very good football, and they've been very effective in the key moments, which is why they have done a lot better than people predicted them at the beginning of the season. I know a lot of people tipped them to go down due to the amount of losses they had. But if you look at their results over time, they've relied on lucky moments of faults of someone else or a penalty or a set piece or something. There's nothing wrong with that, but that doesn't always work, and that's not always reliable in these moments. You can get your results, but it's not consistent. And I think against Arsenal, against Spurs, and against City, they lost 2-0 in all of those games, and they fell short to Leeds as well. And Leeds haven't been great from away from home. And I think Brentford being away and it being at Wolves and sort of Brentford's panic mode when they're losing, something tells me that Wolves might be able to pick a win.
It's bold. Thank you. That's what we like, though. Do appreciate it. Luca, how do you this game and score, please?
Wolves versus Brentford. Look, if you're going to get the Wolves of last week against Arsenal, then of course I'm going to back Wolves getting a result. Brentford, of course, look, obviously Brentford, look, they're a bit inconsistent this season. You really don't know what to get from Brentford. Of course, they lost to Arsenal, they lost to Manchester City. Keith Andrews, of course, a lot of people backed Brentford to get relegated, be in the Championship after losing players like Brian Mbembu to Manchester United, Wissa as well to Newcastle. This game can go like either way. Like it could go to either be. It kind of looks like this could go to a Wolves win. Wolves really need to get that win this weekend if they want to try and survive. Low, of course, they're going to get relegated anyway, but even their fan base know about it. But the players and Rob Edwards wants to try and find a way. And look, don't get me wrong, Rob Edwards, of course, is managed in the EFL, yeah. Luton Town, he got promoted in the Championship into the Premier League, of course, probably one of Luton's greatest managers, getting him into the Premier League, of course, behind Nathan Jones and that. And then, of course, was that Forest Green, of course, and done well there. But I just feel like I want to start with the manager itself. Don't get me wrong. He obviously will set out to get a point at the Emirates last week, and of course they should have got a point against Arsenal. Don't get me wrong. And me saying it as an Arsenal supporter, I don't think we didn't deserve to beat Wolves. But I just feel like for me, if Rob Edwards, look, he's a good manager, yeah. Don't get me wrong, for EFL quality. It's a bit like Scott Parker-ish. But I just feel like he's not quite ready yet to manage a Premier League team. Why would you leave Middlesbrough in a good position right now, and then you're doing so well to try and get promoted and try and see if you can try and fit the system and strategy at Middlesbrough compared to Wolves? But I do back Wolves winning this game, and I think they're going to win 1-0. I really do. I think they are going to get their first win. If they don't win from here, then I really think they're in serious trouble. I really don't know where they are going to get a victory with Wolves. I really don't. And with Brentford as well, with Keith Andrews. Look, Keith Andrews, of course, obviously was a player before in the past, played for quite a few clubs, hasn't had enough experience, of course. Obviously, he might have a bit of experience now in the Premier League, but I think Brentford are going to be all right this season. I think they're going to finish around mid-table this season. But I'm going to back Wolves to win 1-0. I really do.
Okay, thank you. All being positive. So you all predict Wolves to get at least a draw, if not win. 2 wins and a draw for Wolves. Okay, good stuff. Thank you. Tottenham then against Liverpool. I'll kick us off if you don't mind as a Spurs fan. Dreading this game. Dreading this game because Liverpool, I think, potentially could have turned the corner. I think they were defensively resilient against Inter Milan. I think they were good against Brighton. I think Liverpool could have won by 3 or 4 when you look at like the last few minutes. They had big chances, Chiesa, Salah, but I recognise Brian had caused trouble and problems to Liverpool throughout the game. I do recognise that. I think Liverpool, of course, Salah with AFCON, whether that will help them or not, time will tell. But for Tottenham, I think, and Thomas Frank, results have to come, performances have to come. We haven't seen even them so far. I think right now we are a mid-table club without an identity, and that's coming from someone that is behind Frank. Hugely significant, I think, for both teams. It's one of those, and I still struggle to explain it the right way, but I think this does make sense. It's one of those that I think Thomas Frank's job, it matters more for. I think he's more at risk right now than Arne Slot. I do hand on heart believe that. So for him, it's huge. However, I think like out of both teams winning it, it's bigger for Liverpool because it looks like they've turned the corner and they keep within the teams of the top 4, let's say, or even the title race if you're ambitious. But for Tottenham, there's kind of there's less expectation going into the games. The win is great, but then a lot of Spurs fans will go, yeah, but we lost 3-0 to Forest. Doesn't mean anything kind of thing. Whereas for Liverpool, they've got a couple of results behind that to back that up. They're kind of changing form. So hope that does make sense. I'm not feeling confident. I will give them predictions at Spurs. I'm going to go with, I've said all this, but I actually think it'll be a draw. I don't think Tottenham will win it in that way, but I think I'll go 2-2. I think a lot of Spurs fans will take that. Lewis, I'll come to you and talk about London rivals here. How do you view this game?
I've sort of had a theme across this whole week, so I'm going to continue it. Because I do genuinely believe it as well. I think Spurs are going to win. And I don't say that easily, but I do think Spurs are going to win. And the reason why is it's not. I'm going to go off feeling rather than logic here. A lot would say that Spurs are struggling, and I think because you just like you said to me, Harry. Weird things do happen with West Ham and Nuno and stuff like that. And I think it's going to be a similar thing with Frank. People are so up and down with Frank, and should he stay in and should he not? And I think this is going to add exactly fuel to the fire. If Spurs are to win this game, some people are going to be Frank in and loads of people are going to be Frank out. And it's going to prolong this whole argument that is currently ongoing within the Spurs fan base. I think if Spurs can get an early lead, it could be their game to have. And I said this against Forest as well. I can't remember if I said it on the pod. I don't remember if I was on for that one. But I did believe that whoever was the first goal scorer of that game was going to go on to get more and win. And it proved to be Forest in that instance. I think it could have even been the other way around. It was all about, that was a game of momentum. And I think this one will be as well. And I know Spurs' home record isn't good. I understand that. But both sides have monumental amounts of pressure. And I do not see this as the old Liverpool. They've gone on a few games unbeaten. I still don't see it as an old Liverpool. And I don't see
should have lost by 5 or 6 against Forest. So that's what's concerning. They've been through 3 managers and sit 17th. That's what I'm worried about.
It's concerning, but it's one of those things where anything can happen in football. And it would honestly, if I opened my phone and I saw the scoreline and Spurs won, it wouldn't shock me because it's just sort of a very sort of Spursy thing to kind of happen.
That term will never go away, I don't think, even after winning the Europa League. It's true, though. It's true. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Did you give your score prediction?
Oh, score prediction. I'll go with a 2-1. Last minute winner.
Last minute winner. Good stuff. Thank you very much. Dan? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of them ones where I think both managers been under pressure for different reasons this season. And I think Spurs, even though they will be wanting to bounce back from last week against us, because obviously it weren't the best of performances from Spurs, and yeah, we played well, but I think Spurs will be wanting to bounce back from the defeat, and it's something that it is at Spurs' ground, and I'm looking at it thinking, yeah, Liverpool's back on form again. They're winning games, but one result could quite easily derail them. And yeah, fair enough. Both teams will have players lost to AFCON. But I'm sort of one of them ones where I just love seeing Liverpool lose and not winning just because it's Liverpool, and I just want to listen to all Liverpool fans give their excuses. So, but I think on a serious note, that debate with Fran, it's gone on for a while, because it's like that with Nuno from when he first came in. He tried to implement his own style, and that what Frank is trying to do, implement things, but it's never gonna happen in 6 months, 7 months. It's always going to be a long-term project to get where you want to be, and the style and everything, and the players. It happened to like Nuno the first last season. Look how well we did last season with Nuno, and yeah, we probably peaked a bit a season too early, but it's that's where I think we have a lot of things on Nuno and Thomas Frank, like they're coming into a new club where Nuno came in after the transfer window, but Frank, he has had a transfer window to like implement the players that he wants in. Where Slot, he's done that. He had the summer and everything, and it's not worked out for him yet. So I think score predictions, and I'm gonna go with the 2-1 Spurs. I think they're gonna bounce back quite easily, and I think they're going to be obviously both teams score, but I think Spurs will just edge it.
I suppose we're actually okay. Thank you very much, Luca. I'll come to you talking about your favourite club in Tottenham. No, I'm joking. How do you think it'll go? What do you think the score will be?
I think for me, look, this game is all about whether Liverpool, of course, have turned the corner, like you said, because I was very surprised that they managed to beat Inter Milan. I really thought Liverpool, of course, did get that victory against Brighton. So that's the first time Liverpool, of course, have got a couple of wins since the start of the season. If Liverpool can win this game, I do think they've actually turned the corner. I don't think they're not in the title race. I think the title race is between Arsenal, Man City, and Aston Villa at the moment. But I do think Liverpool have, of course, maybe look, the aim, of course, for this game, it could go either way, depending what Tottenham turn up. Because Tottenham, for me, look, you haven't got Ange anymore. You don't play that high line where people, of course, were very predictable to go to White Hart Lane. And, of course, we know what Ange's style of play. And I know he won you the Europa League last season. But, of course, look, Thomas Frank, for me, is really going to be under pressure. And look, of course, you've got to give him time, okay? Like, I know a lot of Spurs fans want him out, don't get me wrong, but if you sack him, then who are you going to get? Because, however, I know you're in the Champions League. It's whether you're going to qualify to get out of the knockout stages, get a playoff, and, of course, depending on what. Look, I think this game, I'm gonna back Liverpool to win this game. I really do, because I just feel like, look, if they can go and win this game, that's 3 wins in a row, and that's probably given massive confidence. When Mohamed Salah's not going to be available for this game,
Yeah,
it might be a huge boost for Tottenham. And look, I know Mohamed Salah, of course, is not performing, but he got an assist last week, so obviously would probably go away, African Cup of Nations, help his country as whatever, how long Egypt are going to get far in this competition. But I look at Liverpool and I feel like, look, okay, they still have problems, but yes, they've got a couple of wins. Very impressive win. They already won 1-0 against Inter Milan and left it too late. And then they've gone and beat Brighton very comfortably at Anfield. And look, I think this is the season where Arnold Slot knows, look, they're 10 points behind Arsenal. Of course, they're about 8 points behind Man City or something like that. And look, I know people might say 10 points is a lot, but 16 games into the season, if Liverpool can pull 4 or 5 wins, do I think Liverpool back in the title race? I don't know, but I don't see them challenging for the league this season. I really don't. I could see them maybe getting top 4, definitely, with the qualities what they've got. Yeah, okay, Isak still needs to hit the ground running. He's not had a full pre-season. he still needs to hit it and all that stuff. Ekitike is, of course, has to be the threat where Tottenham do need to watch out. And look, for me, Tottenham on their day can turn up and beat anyone. We've seen it. Like, you've beaten Man City in the past, 4-0. And look, I back Liverpool to win this, and I'm going 2-1 Liverpool. I don't know what you think about the game, or...
Yeah, no, I'm worried. Like I said earlier, I'm worried about the game. I'm worried about the way they're playing. I'm still behind Frank, purely based on the fact I think the turnover of managers at Tottenham is crazy. You know, we're doing a Watford at the Championship, or, you know, a Chelsea, and just, you know, fire and rehire, and, you know, not giving managers time. Like Poch goes to the 2019 Champions League final, boom, within 6 months is sacked, not given anything he wants, even after reaching the final. Then Ange, whether it's right or not, even now, I'm not sure what the right thing would have been to do. At the time, I wanted to keep him more for the emotion, for the memories, but even that, he wins a trophy, which is, you know, something that's been forgotten how to do at Spurs, and boom, you're gone straight away as well. It just feels wrong. It feels strange. So I think with Frank, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, give him the time. I do think it's a step up, and I'm concerned about some things because we are lacking an identity. But I think let him have the January window, let him sign his players. A bit like Lewis was saying with Nuno as well, in a different way, but allow him to bring his players in, and then you can really judge him and how, you know, the rest of the season goes. I think it's very easy to blame the manager rather than look upstairs and go, what are you doing? You know, all this big talk, what are you actually doing? So I think West Ham and Tottenham actually, believe it or not, and I don't get on at all, but similar, where for me, the problem comes upstairs. You know, it's all the, yeah, we do this, oh, we will do that. It's a load of, it's PR stunts. It's as simple as that, to put it lightly. And, you know, the manager, I don't think is the problem at either of those clubs. But Lewis, if you disagree, I mean, by all means do say so. But I think that's what I think. But I hope that is it for that game, Spurs and Liverpool. Moving on then to Everton and Arsenal. Luca, you are going to hate me, right? I mean, one of those difficult moods. And, you know, I've got to ask the difficult questions. Of course, we've known each other for a little while. You know, you were Arteta out, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. What's changed? You still Arteta out. Why?
Yes. Because he needs to win the league this season. He needs to prove to me, because I said something in the podcast. I went live on Monday night, and I was obviously recapping the Wolves game, talking about Gyökeres, and everyone's been spreading rumours about Victor Gyökeres. Why is he not performing? And Havertz has obviously had a setback. And I said this on my stream on Monday. And look, I feel like going back to the Wolves game, look, I thought the performance was dreadful. I really did, because you're playing against a team that's on 2 points. Like, not to disrespect, you should be beating teams like that 4 or 5-0. And Arsenal.
Luca, if you're Arteta outright, that means you would sack him now. You're top of the league.
Oh yeah, but we're top of the league, but only by 2 points. I don't look. I don't believe
now. If you were the Arsenal hierarchy, would you sack Mikel Arteta right now, considering where you are in the Champions League and the Premier League? I'm going to be
because I don't believe he's not going to get us over the line. And
you would.
No, honestly, yeah, because I don't believe he'll get us over the line. I think when the pressure gets to him, right, everybody hypes up this manager, thinking, "Oh."
Can I be honest with you? You are absolutely entitled to your opinion. I think I'll be up day and night trying to find another Arsenal fan with that view right now. I think a lot of people share your concerns in the past and will continue to do so with Arteta winning a trophy. But at this moment, you're, correct me if I'm wrong, top of the Champions League table, top of the Premier League table. Everything you've done, you've won. You're pretty in so many ways. Now, of all times, I can get you being concerned. Like, I get you, Luca, if you said that if Arsenal don't win a trophy, then pull the plug on Arteta. That's not a stupid thing to say. Right now, I find interesting you would still pull the plug right now over Christmas.
Look, I totally understand where you're coming from. Yeah, people might not use it as the sacking situation because we're top of the league. But the reason why I want him sacked, because I just don't believe we're going to get this over the line. And look, of course, obviously, it's not a conversation to talk about, like, obviously, what we talked about just now, about him getting sacked right now and then bringing an Inter manager to the end of the season. But the thing with what annoys me about Mikel Arteta, yeah, I would always praise Arteta. When I do Arsenal content on my channel sometimes, and when I do my match reactions and all that stuff for every game, I always say about, look, when Arteta gets it right, I'd always back him on the day. I'd always obviously support him. And
he's getting it right now.
Yeah. But however, I'm still Arteta out because obviously he hasn't won the league title yet. And for me, he's got to prove to me that he can get it over the line. This has
he's on path to do so. I know you've been in this situation before. You're right. I get your concern.
Yeah, because this weekend marks 6 years since he got that job, and Edu of course, our ex-director, right, before Bertra come in,
Yeah.
him and Arteta were sitting in the dugout in Freddie Ljungberg's last Inter-manager game. I remember I was at the game. And however, Everton-Arsenal was a 0-0 draw. It was the most boring game. But however, I just feel like he's won one FA Cup, yeah, which wasn't his squad. It was Arsene Wenger and Unai Emery's squad, yeah. And I see a couple of Arsenal channels and all that stuff, like the big Arsenal channels, and they were having a comparison between Unai Emery and Mikel Arteta. And look, you're going to get some fan base out there saying, oh, what's Emery won all this stuff? He hasn't won a league title. But when it comes to trophies, Unai Emery's better than Mikel Arteta.
Who do you have right now? If I said to you now, you'd wake up and Arsenal would have either Emery or Arteta, what would you do? You'd go with Emery.
I'd have Unai Emery because of his experience. I think the problem is what people don't understand is that people use the word, oh, would you rather be in Villa's position or Arsenal's position? Arsenal have come close on a couple of occasions, but not got it over the line. The reason why I use Unai Emery as a knowledgeable, because obviously Emery knows how to get a trophy over the line. And I just feel like, okay, Emery didn't quite work out at Arsenal, right? But however, if Unai Emery would have heritaged this squad, like with the squad what we've got right now, I do think he would get it over the line. Because I know people might question, oh, Unai Emery loses a couple of games. Has he got the wonder to get it over the line? And he has like one or two games he might change and might mess up some tactics. But Unai Emery's a decent manager. Okay, he's not up there with, of course, like the Simeones and Enriques and that. But he's a manager who can get you. He's a cup trophy, like how he's like Mikel Arteta a little bit. But however,
but if he was here, would you be Emery out as well? Because Arteta has won a trophy, right? And he hasn't been perfect. And I thought last season, it's a reasonable option. Like you get rid of him, but would you give him the time if you haven't Arteta?
I think for me, Unai Emery, when he in his first season, he got us into the Europa League final with a weak squad. I know we got battered by Chelsea, right, 4-1 in Baku. But however, this was Unai Emery, for me, failed to get top four, but he never got the backing. The Cronkies only gave him 50 million. When we lost to Liverpool 5-1 in December 2018, we were linked to people like Gary Cahill before he was heading to his retirement home. Yeah. And to be honest, I remember they said it on AFTV one time, and we were linked to people like Gary Cahill and that. And I just feel like with Emery is, if he came back to Arsenal right now with the squad what we've got now, I do think he would. Look, maybe he might not get it over the line, but I do think he might improve and maybe win a trophy right now. But at that time, I do think Emery should have been given more time because, look, Arteta for me needs to win the league. He needs to win the league this season because it's been going far too long now, okay? Because, look, if he wins the league, I'll be Mikel Arteta in. I'd 100% be Mikel Arteta in because then if he wins the league, my famous words would say, you know what, he's got it over the line. Big up Mikel Arteta. You've actually quite a good manager, and my words go from out to in.
Luca, lastly, I think you could have a really good point. I actually think Unai Emery is a better manager, but my point just is now things are flying, and I think the conversation should simmer for now. I think you have valid points, but I think right now Arteta, he's got credit in the bag, in terms of like he did
when he doesn't win anything this season.
Yeah, like, then you're right. You're absolutely right to ask the question and force the
Carabao Cup.
Yes,
and that's it. I still sack him.
Yeah, that's nothing wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
The league in the Champions League. If he wins the Premier League,
you can't pull the plug now, though. Is my point.
I get that. No, I guess you can't obviously pull the plug, but obviously I know where the pecking order is, and
yes,
I know obviously you as a Tottenham fan, obviously you might think Man City might win the league. And look, look, those games against Chelsea and Villa, if Arsenal would have won those games, I'd seriously think we'll win the league. But right now,
thank you, Luca.
I don't see us winning this game. But my score prediction, I'm going to go for. This is a very tough game, really tough game to call. Pressure's going to be on us. I'm praying West Ham fans, right? Get all your West Ham merchandise. Just for an hour and a half, West Ham fans, of course, we're all backing you to get something against Man City. We need a Paqueta masterclass. We need a Bowen masterclass. We need West Ham to turn up. Just a one-off game, yeah. Just have a masterclass against Man City. part the bus, play for a point at least. But look, we're favourites to win this game, but we don't have a very good record. I don't want to be too negative. I should really back us to win, but something tells me I think we're going to mess up in this game. I don't know why. Everton are going to be. Look, Everton, of course, have got injuries. Dewsbury Hall was their best player. Chelsea want him back. I don't think he shouldn't go back to Chelsea. I think if you're going to be at a club where, of course, I know, okay, you might want to prove yourself as a player to get back where you've obviously done well on the loan Spurs, the same as Jack Grealish. But Everton fans love Jack Grealish. They adore Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
And I think this game's going to be a draw. I really do. I really think we're going to drop points. I think the pressure's going to get to us. 8 o'clock kickoff. I know people might say it doesn't matter about a time difference and all that, but with Man City could potentially smash West Ham. They go top of the league by 1 point. I think it's a draw. I'm going 1-1. 1-1. I don't feel confident, but I'm going to go for a point.
Lovely, Luca. Thank you. Apologies, put you on the spot there a little bit. I'm sure you messaged me after if Arsenal lose this game. Going, I told you so. We should have a conversation now.
Definitely when there'll be a match reaction on my channel. But yeah.
yeah. I look forward to that. But no, I know we've talked about it before, so I thought I'd raise it there. Thank you.
Yeah.
You coped that well. Lewis, thank you for your patience there and listening in. A lot to get your teeth into, but by all means you can touch on it. But what are your thoughts on this game?
I've got to agree. I think this game's going to end up being a draw. Arsenal have only got 1 win against Everton in the last 7 visits, and it's a David Moyes Everton side. It's at home. I think if this was at the Emirates, I would have backed Arsenal to win, but it's at home. Everton are on good form. This seems to me like a classic Moyes low block, nice sit back, invite the pressure on, keep Arsenal out, maybe nick a goal. And it's probably why my score prediction would be 0-0 for this game. I think it will be just Everton will soak up the pressure. And I think they'll soak it up very, very well, as they have done. There'll be chances in the game for either side. I don't think I ever predict 0-0s, but this is a David Moyes team, and I know how Moyes likes to set out against these top 6 sides. This Everton team has got capabilities to score, but the Arsenal defence have also got the capabilities to keep it out. And I think that's vice versa. It goes for both sides. It's brave to predict a 0-0. But in the event that there are goals, I still think it will be a draw. I've got a feeling Arsenal will drop points to a Moyes side. He's done it before for West Ham, and I think it might happen again. But I have to touch on that Arteta conversation very, very, very briefly. I'm in no position. I've never seen my team be in a position as such. But what I will say is it could be worse. You could have Graham Potter. So that's all I'll say to finish off that conversation. And I'm going to leave that there.
Oh dear, I never told you, Lewis. If I have, I do, apologise for boring you. But I met Graham Potter in Spurs Premium, and not just once, but twice. Once I met him and took a photo with him, chat to him, and he's funny and you had this conversation, didn't we? Where you said he speaks highly of Spurs. You said it on the podcast. You said it to me off air. And it was the same then. What's he doing? Watching Spurs twice as well, And I was thinking, what job are you going for? The Spurs job, under pressure. And I tried to think about outside the box. Maybe it's just you want to have a little bit of love for Spurs, and you can't really be, can you, West Ham manager when you've got a little bit of a soft underbelly for Spurs.
I prefer not to speak, Harry. I prefer not to speak.
You don't get shut down. Thank you very much, Dan. I come to you. Do you back Arsenal in this game? I think Everton are a good side, but you still got to back Arsenal, surely.
I've been sort of sat on the fence with it, and I think nothing against either teams, but I think both of the guys touched on what I was going to say. But I think Arsenal, the sort of Everton. I mean, man, it's a different Arsenal side from before because they've got so much quality now, and they've got so much different. It's fair enough that they do have bad days like last weekend, Wolves and the Villa game. I mean, there's still that old side of Arsenal in them. Everton, I think, actually had that. David Moyes, the beat is quite comprehensive there. And he knows how to get results out of the big team. So that's where my sort of head's in it. But I think with it being at Everton, this might be a chance for Arsenal to go there and be like, new stadium, yeah, fair enough, old flaming noise, but this should be a fresh start for Arsenal to go there and be like, yeah, new stadium, we need to put start there and be able to be like, yeah, we're going to win today, and just dust off old cobwebs from like the Goodison days. So it's one where I'm in two minds about, but I think if Arsenal want to be serious about winning this league title and not be like here in the second again, I think it's got to start this weekend, like I said, with Wolves, that if they aren't serious enough to finish, this is the time to start to get on the one, because we've got so many games coming up now over this festive period. So I'm going to back Arsenal, and I'm going to back them with a 3-1 win.
Okay, thank you very much. Leeds and Palace is the next game. I can confirm that Palace have just drawn 2-2 in the Conference League. And what's interesting about that is that they've had a really mixed Conference League spell. They were winning this game, and when I looked, and like with no joke, it just changed so quickly. Within 5 minutes, they were 2-1 down. They completely looked like they're throwing it away, and they pulled it back, I think, a late goal to make it 2-2. But they were at home for context as well. So Palace, I think they're at risk of implosion, and I think they're a really good side, by the way. What I mean by that is if the January window goes wrong, I think Glasgow, anyway, will probably leave when his contract runs out end of the season. But Palace just seem like a team that need that squad depth, and I promise you now, after playing Thursday, they don't get a result in this game for me. It's directly related. They're not the only club to suffer from it. Newcastle had it even in the Champions League for the first time. It's he's directly linked. If you don't have the squad, which Palace don't have the 11, and they suffer as a result. Lewis, can I come to you with your thoughts on this game?
I've got to say, before the thoughts on the game, this draw for Palace in the conference is very bad news. It does mean they don't get automatic qualification, which means they'll now have to play an extra 2 matches on top of what they've already got, because, well, it's a 2-legged game to qualify for the knockout. So they've now got an additional 2 games. They've got the FA Cup coming up, and they've obviously got the game against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup. And whether they win it or not, point being is it's an extra 90 minutes, if not more. It's not what they needed. And I think, again, this game against Leeds is also not what they needed. Away at Ellen Road, it's going to be tough. They're on a good run. They're doing very well in the Premier League. They have their moments where they're super strong. They've looked a lot better in the Premier League than they have the Conference. But to go to Ellen Road is going to be tough, which is really annoying as a West Ham fan, because I have been hoping, on my own personal perspective, Leeds to not get results, and it seems that they always do it. And it's Leeds' last home game of the year. I suspect that they'll be going all out for this one. They've got the quality to do it. Calvert-Lewin has scored 5 in his last 5. He's in brilliant form. I would go for a Leeds win here.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Luca, what do you reckon for this one? I mean, Daniel Farke's really saving his job at the moment. I'd actually say he's not under pressure at this moment in time. Of course, every manager's got a little bit of pressure.
I'm going to back Leeds United to win this game, because Crystal Palace will have their eyes on Tuesday's Carabao Cup game against us. And look, Palace for me, they've not been great recently. I don't know what's happened to Crystal Palace's form. They had a good start to the season, of course, having hopes of winning that FA Cup and the Charity Shield, beating the likes of Liverpool. I think Leeds are doing very well. It's whether a question will they stay up this season? I'm still not 100% convinced if they will stay up, but the chances of that, they've got more chance of staying up compared to Burnley and Wolves, and they're probably out of the 3 are favourite to stay up. So with Leeds beating Chelsea, with Leeds getting a 3-3 draw against Liverpool, Leeds almost pulled out something against Man City, but of course Man City, just about won that game 3-2 thanks to Phil Foden in the 91st minute. But I've got to back Leeds United to win this game. I'm going 2-1 leads. I think they're going to continue their form. And Palace are going to have their eyes going on that game against us on Tuesday.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Dan, what do you reckon? Do you agree with the guys?
You know what? I completely agree with what the lad said, and Lucas taught what I was going to say to refer it out of it, because I think they don't have their eyes on the League Cup, and I think, they played tonight. They're probably going to freshen things up on Sunday, knowing that they played tonight, and they're going to be thinking, we got Palace, we got Arsenal on Tuesday with a chance of a double-leg semi-final. Not saying that Arsenal will lose it, but they're going to have to think about their squad rotation. And I think tonight's result won't help them. But I think with all the games that they have had over this last couple of weeks, because they probably have more of a tougher scheduling than we have, and most of the top six, because they haven't played that every week, like since the international break. So, but like I've said about Leeds, I said it all season that if there's going to be a team to stay up, it will be Leeds. And I said that sort of the season. I know Sunderland doing better, but Leeds seem to be picking up results at the minute, especially at home, beating Chelsea like they did and that. So I'm going to say 3-1 Leeds, because I think Palace they'll have the confidence not after tonight. And I think with Tuesday night, they're going to have to juggle both tonight and Tuesday, man.
Yeah, okay, I agree with you. Jack, you again, I think you're spot on with that one. Again, like I always say, always entitled to your opinion, but I actually share your thoughts on that. I think back in Leeds in that game, somebody would have thought been saying a few weeks ago, just shows they've fallen a little bit from grace to Crystal Palace, but also mainly the rise of Leeds from Daniel Farker in the last few games. Villa then against Man United. This should be an interesting one. Lewis, Aston Villa's incredible streak, 9 games in a row now that they've won across all competitions. Can they make that 10?
I think they can make it 10. If you look at the record, the history would suggest that they probably can't, given that, with Manchester United, they haven't lost to Villa in the last 6 meetings since, and considering Man United's up and down form, especially last season, that'd probably be quite surprising to most. In fact, Man United stopped them getting Champions League on the final day, and Aston Villa lost out to Newcastle. But it seems to me maybe that was a bit of a blessing in disguise for them, and it, could have proved to be a benefit. Villa are the strong side; they're in at home. United, they've got goals in them, but they also concede goals. A bit too many at times, and I think given the circumstances, given the form, this has got to be Villa's going to win. And the truth is they are on a title charge. Obviously people wouldn't have factored in Aston Villa at the beginning of the season to be on a title charge. But if you look at the Premier League table and you sit there at the top and say that they're not, we should discredit them, discount them, I think that would be very foolish and very to discount them from challenging. It could really happen. They're giving everyone a good go. As mentioned, I've just seen a comment up. Man United are losing a lot of players to AFCON, and I just think it's got a Villa win written all over it. I would go 3-0 Villa.
3-0 Aston Villa. Okay, thank you very much. Bruising defeat that would be for Manchester United, but it'd be interesting to see how they cope with the Del Barmo, Ahmed, players like that, Casemiro suspended. They could struggle. I think each United team's better going forward, but they're missing 2 great players there. That's the thing. So everything points towards maybe a Villa win. Not as plain sight, maybe, in terms of Villa have been great and continue to be great, especially where they were at the start of the year. But Man United, I think, have got better. Luca, would it be fair to say, firstly, that United have improved recently under Amorim?
Man United, for me, look, they've improved in some certain ways, but the last few weeks they've not been that great. Like, of course, to concede 4 against Bournemouth, don't get me wrong, it was a cracking game on Monday night, probably the game of the season. And to end that game as a 4-4 draw, I did not expect that game to be on the Monday night. And look, as an Arsenal fan, I would want Man United to please beat Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa are going to win this game against Man United. I really don't think Man United are not going to get anything against Aston Villa. I really cannot see it. But United have to be on their best if they want to turn up against Aston Villa, because look, United are going to have players that are going to go to the AFCON. This guy said in the chat, Liam, big up to you. And Bembu and Ahmad, of course, are going to go in Casemiro. So Man United are going to have a blow. Don't get me wrong, it's a massive blow for Man United. And look, it's whether people like Bruno Fernandes is going to step up. And I think Unai Emery's going to win this game. And Unai Emery's got an all right record against Manchester United. Don't get me wrong, even at Arsenal. Like I think Villa, I'm going to have to back Villa to win this game. And I think I'm going to go for maybe a 3-0 Aston Villa. I can't see Man United score, maybe a 1, maybe a 3-1, but Villa are looking very good at the moment. And I just don't see Man United going to Villa Park and getting the
win. Did Villa worry you, Luca? As an Arsenal fan, did Villa concern you at all?
If they win the next 3 games, which is against Manchester United at home, Chelsea away, Arsenal away, because our record at the Emirates is not great, especially when they chucked us at the title race a couple of years ago when we were unbeaten in 2024, and that was the only defeat that we lost at the Emirates. But however, look, they already beat us this season. Unai Emery knows Mikel Arteta, and Arsenal hope to try and look for revenge when we play them at the end of the month. But if they win these next 3 games, I genuinely think, I don't think they'll win the league, but I generally think they have a real good chance of obviously taking it down the wire, because I feel like Villa are probably the best informed team in the Premier League. They're on a mad stat at the moment. I think it's like 9-10 games they're undefeated. At the start of the season, Villa fans, their fan base, don't really talk about and speak about what happened at the start of the season. That's what's classed about Aston Villa supporters. They don't speak about what's in the past. They're obviously enjoying it at the moment, only a couple of points behind us. And look, it's a massive game for all 3 teams. Arsenal, we've got to go and beat Everton. If we drop any favour points, we could end up going into 3rd place. Because if Aston Villa beat Manchester United, we lose to Everton, we could be sitting from top of the league into 3rd place, which would be an absolutely horrendous blow for Arsenal. And look, as an Arsenal fan, I want Manchester United to turn up and put a masterclass, but I really don't see Man United come to Villa Park, and I'm backing 3-0 Aston Villa in this game.
Great stuff. Dan, I'm going to come to you in just a second with your thoughts on this game. So give a big shout out to a few people in the chat. Big up to so many amazing people watching and a few content as well. But to both our Spurs fans saying W stream, thank you very much. Big up to Matt who says let's go. And big up to Fancy. He says that guys Burnley take it to fire. Totally agree. It's when you talk about Lewis had to say about Burnley. Big up to little Zuzi in the comments. Also big up to Spurs fan Liam says just joined the stream. Hope you're keeping well, Harry, and the rest of the lads. Comedy Spurs. He's the one that also said easy Villa win. I'm not going to lie. Mbama, Ahmed, Afcon, and Casemiro suspended. Big up to Barney, regular on the Scarfey Talks Premier League podcast. Should know him by now. He says, been a busy evening, so unable to watch, but free now to watch the remainder of the show. Even Harry and the panel. Thank you, Barney, as always, for your support. He goes on to say, I've got a few more comments that are coming in as we speak. But Barney, for now, says 2-1 Villa. They look very good. I'm thinking 2-2, but I'll go with a tight Villa win. So everyone predicting a Villa win. And big up to Arsenal fan as well, Mark, regular as well, on the Scarfey Talks Premier League podcast. A lot of people in the chat. Big up to you all. Dan, how do you feel about this game? Are you also backing Aston Villa? It feels right, doesn't it?
Without a shadow of that, I mean, Man United, they're not the Man United of old. And they're losing loads of players to AFCON and numerous different things. And without a shadow of that, they're gonna. I can see them really struggling between now and when AFCON finishes, just for a simple fact of that. I think Villa's on some unbelievable form. They said the start they had, they've just been probably the most informed team in the Premier League. And in cases of that wins and how they've been playing, so I can see this being quite a comfortable win for Villa. purely because Man United did not got the squad for it. So I'm going to go 3-0 Villa.
Okay, lovely stuff. Thank you very much. Let's progress then and talk about our final game. Dan, you've been waiting for this one very, very patiently because it is the Monday night one, so that's why it comes last. I haven't left you hanging, I promise, not deliberately anyway. It's Fulham versus Forest. Dan, I will come to you, of course. How are you feeling right now? Forest clearly turned a corner, doing very well under Sean Dyche. Can you make this another victory?
If you ask me this in October, when obviously everything was a bit up in the air with Angie and that, I would have been dreading it, but we completely turned the corner. And you know what? Fair play on Sean Dyche and the staff, because they're Forest through and through. Like, he didn't come through to the first team, but he was at the Forest Academy, worked under the great man himself. He got Stoney and Rooney, they know Forest completely well. And you know what? They just instilled that bit of belief back in us, and we're not like thinking where our next win gonna come. Like, I think they got some really good stat. Like, we won like over half of the games that's been in charge, and it just got that really, really down to earth himself. Like, he can't tell he's a proper Nottingham lad because he got that personality and everything. So, and we all warmed to him because he's just a Nottingham lad. So I think Fulham away, I think, yeah, Harry Wilson's on form. We actually had that. I think they've got some really decent results recently. They sort of start the season, but I think if Forest go there and play like we have been, like we did last week against Spurs, like we have done in against Malmo, against Porto, and just match them, keep Wilson quiet, I can see sneaking a win. And I think I take a point though. Like, they start same old saying that win your own games, pick up point away from home. But I think when I look at it, I think will Wednesday play a big factor for Fulham because we had a week off. They got to play Wednesday. Last night. So I think I'm going to go 2-1 Forest. I actually back in Forest. And I think depending on results over the weekend, I know Fulham just above us, but I think if we go there with that right mentality and that sort of like, yeah, we're going to defend well, yeah, we're going to take our chances. So I can see us doing it. So yeah, 2-1 Forest.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you very much. Just a few comments to shout out upon. Barney Fulham fan said, my views are simple. Our home form is very good. How we adapt with players gone for AFCON, we will see. Robertson back is key. Goes on to say Harry Wilson will be up for this ex-Derby County link. Oh, interesting. Didn't even think of that. I think it'll be an entertaining game. He says 2-2. And Mark says, big up, Dan and the panel. He says 2-2 Forest and Fulham. There you go. Got 2-2s just about. Managed to say that. Luca, I'll come to you. How do you view this game?
Look, I think for me with Fulham and Forest, this game can go either way because both teams, of course, are going to finish mid-table. I'm very surprised Forest's position this season. It's really difficult to really call this game because Fulham, of course, losing in the Carabao Cup to Newcastle last night. Newcastle were always going to win at St James's Park. The quality beat them, and Nottingham Forest. I don't really know what to say about this game because Forest have not been the same since Nuno Espirito left and now has gone to West Ham. But I think Forest are going to win this game. I'm actually backing Nottingham Forest, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 Nottingham Forest win. I just feel like they've got the quality. Don't get me wrong. Both teams have got some decent quality footballers. And I think Forest are going to win. I do fancy a Forest win this weekend. I think it's going to be their weekend to beat Fulham, and I'm going 2-1 Nottingham Forest.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Lewis, you're the last one to give your thoughts on the final game. Fulham then and Forest. It's difficult to predict. Fulham at the Cottage are a funny team, Fulham, aren't they, really?
Yeah, they are. And I think this game is a funny game overall. To make my only prediction, I would say I think it's going to be a 1-1. I think Fulham will. The key thing for Fulham will be to depend on how they bounce back from the loss against Newcastle. Obviously, not a great fashion for them. They could have looked to take that game to extra time and see where it could have gone. You never know. They might have poached a winner. Anything could have happened, right? And I do believe that they'll be quite disheartened by it. But coming into the Premier League, it's a little refresh heading in last game before Christmas, penultimate game until the new year. They're at home. They could go for this. I think both teams have sort of turned the corner. Fulham were looked quite clueless a while ago, and they stepped up since, got a few wins on the bounce. Nice win against Sunderland as well. So anything can really happen. I think the same with Forest. They're either all in or all out. They're on some good form at the moment, and that could very easily translate to a win. It's a Monday night game. Anything can happen on Monday night, as we all know. But I'm going to go with a 1-1. I reckon it could be that.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. Has anyone got any final comments before we wrap up for the podcast? No? You're all good?
It'll be a good weekend. I think some games where I think I couldn't pull them apart, but I think other games it will make it a very good weekend, especially if you are neutral to quite a lot of the games. So, I think let the weekend commence.
Absolutely that. I just want to say, before we plug everyone's socials, I want to say thank you very much as well. Just come through in the last couple of hours, statistics of 2025. So in terms of the most viewed football fan channels on YouTube in 2025, we have ranked 77th place with 1.1 million views. It's just incredible in 2025. So thank you very much. And in and among, above and behind some really big names in there, there's loads in and around. So honestly, a real honour. And that's a big thanks to everyone that supports the channel, supports these podcasts. Big thank you to all of you guys as well for coming on, for being such an important part of everything positive as we cover everything from Spurs to every Premier League club now with England and FPL. All kinds of stuff going on, and we're covering the academy as well as we go into 2026. Big thank you to everyone that listens to the Scarfey Talks Premier League podcast. It is the Thursday nights. It's the back-to-back podcast with the Scarfey Spurs Talk podcast, 7 p.m. and 8:45. This one being the Scarfey Talks Premier League podcast. So Thursday's a busy one, but a good one. But this will be the last one. And well, when I say last one, there won't be one next week. Put it that way, it's the last one of 2025 because next Thursday is Christmas Day, I believe. So there we go. It is next Thursday. It's come around really, really quick. So next Thursday, instead of me hosting 2 podcasts, there'll be 0, which will feel very, very strange. But, you should be hearing a lot more content from me from now to Christmas Day. If you don't, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and to your families too, and a Happy New Year. But let's go around the panel and see where you can find them across social media. Luca, thank you. Always a pleasure. Where can people follow you across social media apart from defending the car?
We are very, very close to 9,100 subscribers, about 18 away. So subscribe to my channel, Luca Talks Dons. Of course, obviously, we cover Arsenal, majority MK Dons content. We do the vlogs and all that stuff. Content-wise coming up, obviously, we've got Harrogate this weekend. I will be covering that this weekend. And also, there will be a watch-along. I've already scheduled a watch-along for Everton v Arsenal. And there'll be a match reaction straight after the game. So come along, come in the chat, interact with your opinions and comments. Subscribe to my channel, Luca Talks Dons. And we're 18 subscribers away, 18 from 9.1k. That would be really appreciated if we can hit that within a week's time. So if you want to subscribe to the channel, you're more welcome to. Anyone's more welcome to join my panel this weekend and give their opinions and talk about your football club. So please do subscribe to the channel and I'll return the favour back.
Love it. You're smashing it, mate. Thank you so much. And by the way, just to be clear, I don't want to confuse anyone as well in the comments. I've got a lot more content now, from now until Christmas Day with shorts, videos, and even Spurs podcasts and that. And there'll be Premier League one Tuesday as usual to review the game week. So when I say it's the last one, I mean the last one on the Thursday. So don't worry, there's a lot more till Christmas Day. The only day that we won't be, literally from now until the 31st, there's only one day that we won't be uploading, and that will be uploading more than 2 pieces, let's just say. That'll be Christmas Day. There will be something actually on Christmas Day, but not too much. But yeah, just want to say, in case you don't come back, I hope you do come back, by the way, but go follow Luke up there. Lewis, thank you so much as well for coming on. I've told you before, always love having you on. Where can people follow you across social media?
Always great to be on. Love talking about my team. Hopefully I can see my team win a bit more games and actually have some more positive Positivity
Blame
in
me.
the podcast. I will blame you, Harry. I'll blame all of you. But you can follow my Twitter, which is Louis and LOUIS and VANNN. Also have a website where I write on westhamfans.org. Load of opinion pieces, a bit more humorous writing rather than general news reporting. And but that's all.
Great stuff. Thank you. And again, to be clear, there is another Scarfey Talks Premier podcast. To jump the gun there, it is Tuesday. It does review all the games from the weekend, but this will be the last preview show before Christmas. Dan, thank you so much as well for coming on last minute replacement for someone that did pull out. So really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Where can people follow you and your great channel?
That's right. Thank you for having me on again. I feel like becoming a regular because this is like my third week running. I've been on. Obviously, we did something last week for the game, and then also I was on a preview. So yeah, but find me on Talk Forest TV. That's YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, literally everything. We're literally over 4K now, like I said the other week. So we're running for 5K now. We do lots of content like previews, reviews, shorts, new shows. We have everything on it. So yeah, that really found me.
Great stuff. Thank you all. And, like I said there, thank you very much for the continued support. If you're listening on YouTube, please like, subscribe, follow all these guys across all socials. But in terms of Scarfey Talks Premier League podcast, I'll see you on Tuesday, the 23rd of December, to review all the action. It'll be a busy one as well in Gameweek 17. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.
You came along just like a song, a brighter mind.